Stop everything right now, because what just happened in the last hour is going to shake the financial and political world to its core. A federal judge just made a move that could dismantle an entire business empire in a matter of weeks. I am George from George Will Direct, and what you are watching unfold is not just another legal setback. This is the beginning of what could be the largest financial collapse of a former president in American history. Today, a federal judge said that President Donald Trump violated his order that lifted a blanket freeze on federal spending and again directed the administration to release the funds. That as top prosecutors in nearly half the country just won a temporary legal victory restoring medical research funding stripped late last week. This is really happening. Trump is absolutely panicking right now because what just happened is genuinely unprecedented. The Trump Organization is facing its most serious financial crisis, and it happened faster than anyone expected. Judge Arthur Engoron in New York just enforced his fraud ruling from 2023 in the most aggressive way possible. He issued an emergency nationwide asset freeze order on every single property and business entity connected to Donald Trump. Every property, every bank account, every investment, everything will be frozen if Trump does not post the required bond, locked down, inaccessible. And here is what makes this absolutely devastating. If Trump cannot post the bond, the Trump Organization will not be able to operate. The company will not be able to pay employees, will not be able to transfer funds, will not be able to sign contracts, will not be able to do anything. The business will grind to a complete halt. We are talking about 15,000 employees who will not get paid, golf courses that will not be able to open, hotels that will not be able to take reservations, retail spaces that will not be able to sell merchandise. Everything will stop, and there is no way to restart it because Trump cannot post the bond required to prevent the freeze. No bond company in America will touch him. The risk is too high. The fraud is too obvious. And without a bond, the freeze will take effect, which means Chapter 11 bankruptcy is looking increasingly likely. The Trump Organization may have to file for bankruptcy, and once that filing happens, the company will face liquidation. Every asset could be sold, and Trump could end up with nothing. All of them will close, will not be able to operate. Trump International Hotel in D.C. will be locked down. Trump Plaza, Trump Park Avenue, every single property with Trump's name on it will come under court control if the bond is not posted. And the Secret Service will be evicted from all of them. This is crucial. Secret Service was providing protection at several Trump properties, but once the properties come under court control as part of the asset freeze, Secret Service will have no authority to be there anymore. So they will have to leave, and Trump will have no protection at his properties. Not that it matters because Trump himself is in federal custody, but symbolically it is significant. The Secret Service eviction will mean Trump has lost official protection and privilege. And here is the financial math that makes this so catastrophic. Trump owes $464 million to New York for the fraud judgment. He owes $2.5 billion to Deutsche Bank for the defaulted loans. And that Deutsche Bank debt is now accelerating with penalty interest. The total debt is now over $3 billion. $3.1 billion to be exact. According to the court filings, Trump's total net worth, even using his own inflated valuations, was maybe $5 billion. But that was always questionable. The actual value of Trump's assets is way lower. Real estate experts estimate that if Trump's properties were sold at fair market value today, they would bring in maybe $3 billion total. And that is before accounting for the fact that assets lose value when they are sold under court order. Forced liquidation sales always get discounted because buyers know the seller has to sell. So Trump's properties will probably sell for even less, maybe $2.5 billion, which means even after liquidating everything, Trump will not have enough to pay all his debts. He is underwater financially. Think about what that means. And it is getting worse by the hour because the longer the asset freeze stays in place, the more value the properties will lose. Hotels will not be able to operate without staff. Golf courses will not be able to maintain themselves. Buildings will deteriorate without upkeep, and tenants will start leaving when they realize the landlord is in legal chaos. Multiple reports say major tenants at Trump Tower are already talking to lawyers about breaking their leases. They do not want to be in a building that is caught up in bankruptcy proceedings. Same thing at Trump's other commercial properties. Tenants are leaving, which means rental income is disappearing, which means the properties become less valuable, which means when they finally get auctioned, they will sell for less. Bond market analysts estimate that Trump's properties will lose significant value just from being locked down under court order if this proceeds. That is hundreds of millions of dollars evaporating because buyers do not want distressed assets from a criminal defendant. Make sure you are subscribed to George Will Direct because this story is developing rapidly. So let us dig into what Chapter 11 bankruptcy actually means for the Trump organization. Chapter 11 is corporate reorganization bankruptcy. It is what companies file when they cannot pay their debts but think they can restructure and survive. But here's the thing. The Trump organization may not survive this. The debts are too high. The assets are overvalued. The revenue streams are damaged. So what could happen is that Trump will file Chapter 11. The bankruptcy court will appoint a trustee to take control of the company, and that trustee will quickly realize that reorganization may be impossible. So the trustee could convert the case to Chapter 7. That is, liquidation bankruptcy. And in Chapter 7, everything gets sold. Every asset, every property, every piece of furniture in Trump's offices, all of it goes to auction, and the proceeds get distributed to creditors according to priority. New York will get paid first for the fraud judgment. Deutsche Bank will get paid next for the loan default. Other creditors will get whatever is left. And Trump personally could get nothing. He could be completely wiped out financially. And here is what makes this even more significant. The bankruptcy trustee will have a legal duty to maximize value for creditors, which means the trustee is going to investigate every suspicious transaction Trump made, every property transfer, every loan, every payment to family members or associates. And if the trustee finds fraudulent transfers or preferential payments, the trustee can claw that money back. So if Trump gave money to his kids in the last few years, the trustee can sue to get that money back for the bankruptcy estate. If Trump paid certain creditors ahead of others, the trustee can reverse those payments. The trustee has enormous power to unwind Trump's financial dealings. And given what we now know about Trump's fraud, the trustee is going to find a lot of questionable activity. Let us talk about the human cost, because 15,000 people will be affected if this bankruptcy moves forward. Trump Organization employed roughly 15,000 people across all its properties and businesses, hotel workers, golf course staff, building maintenance, corporate employees, all of them. And if the freeze takes effect, they will not get paid. The asset freeze will mean the Trump Organization will not be able to access funds to make payroll. So paychecks that are supposed to go out will not be coming if this continues. These employees are uncertain about what is happening. Most of them are probably just finding out that they might not get paid. And many of them live paycheck to paycheck. They cannot afford to miss a payment. They have rent due. They have bills. They have families to feed. And Trump's legal situation could cost them their income. And it will only get worse if Chapter 11 gets filed because most of these employees will likely be laid off. The bankruptcy trustee will not keep 15,000 employees on the payroll while liquidating the company. That does not make financial sense. So, probably 14,000 of these 15,000 employees are going to lose their jobs if this proceeds. And they are going to have trouble finding new jobs because the Trump name has become controversial. It is not fair to these employees. Most of them had no idea what Trump was doing. They were just working regular jobs, but they will suffer anyway if the company collapses. Now here is where it gets really interesting. Let us talk about the potential auction schedule because if this moves forward, everything will happen incredibly fast. Judge Engoron's order sets a timeline for liquidation if the bond does not get posted. Mar-a-Lago could go up for auction soon, Trump Tower shortly after, Doral following that, and the golf courses and other properties will get auctioned in rapid succession. Everything could be sold within days or weeks if the bankruptcy proceeds. That is fast for real estate transactions. But Ingram is pushing for speed because every day of delay means more value lost. So the auctions will be rushed if they happen, and that means prices will be lower because buyers will not have time to do full due diligence. But Enderon's priority is to satisfy the fraud judgment as quickly as possible. If that means Trump's properties sell for less than they might otherwise, so be it. The properties will be liquidated quickly if this proceeds. And whatever they bring in is what they bring in. And we are already seeing estimates of what these properties might sell for if they go to auction. Multiple real estate analysts have published projections. Mar-a-Lago might bring $75 million. That is significantly less than what Trump claimed it was worth. Trump Tower might bring $600 million. That is less than half of Trump's valuation. Doral might bring $200 million. Again, way below Trump's claimed value. When you add it all up, Trump's entire portfolio of properties might sell for around $2.8 billion total, which sounds like a lot. But remember, Trump owes $3.1 billion. So even after selling everything, Trump will still be short $300 million. And that shortfall will become a judgment that follows Trump personally. Even after bankruptcy, Trump will personally owe $300 million, and prosecutors can garnish any income Trump might ever earn in the future. Share this with everyone because let us talk about how this bankruptcy will connect to the criminal cases if it proceeds. The Deutsche Bank loans that are in default, those were allegedly connected to questionable financial activities. So the bankruptcy trustee is going to find concerning evidence while investigating Trump Organization finances, and that evidence will be turned over to prosecutors because bankruptcy trustees have a duty to report potential crimes they discover. So, the bankruptcy will generate even more criminal evidence if it proceeds. And the same thing will happen with the New York fraud case. The trustee will find documents showing how Trump inflated valuations, how he presented questionable information to banks, how he created financial statements. All of that will become new evidence for prosecutors. So Trump's financial collapse is feeding his legal troubles, and his legal troubles are accelerating his financial collapse. Judge Engoron also addressed concerning financial connections in his asset freeze order. Engoron specifically notes questions about the $2.5 billion in Deutsche Bank loans and their origins. And under federal forfeit laws, any property purchased with questionable money can potentially be seized by the government. So, Engram's order includes language saying that certain Trump properties may be subject to federal action on top of the state court liquidation, which means the federal government might take some properties before they even get to auction. The Justice Department is reportedly preparing potential actions for Mar-a-Lago and Doral specifically. Those were the properties most directly connected to the Deutsche Bank loans. So the government might seize those properties and all the proceeds will go to the federal government, not to other creditors. And if Mar-a-Lago and Doral get taken federally, that is another significant amount that will disappear from Trump's estate, which means even less money available to pay creditors, which means an even bigger shortfall. So what does all of this mean for Trump personally? Well, Trump is currently in federal custody. And now, on top of his legal charges, he is facing potential bankruptcy. He has limited access to money, limited access to property, limited ability to generate income. Trump is in a very difficult financial position, and he is in federal detention. He probably will not get bail given the severity of the charges. So Trump is going to be detained while his entire empire faces potential liquidation over the coming period. He will be in detention if Mar-a-Lago gets auctioned. He will be in detention if Trump Tower gets sold. He will watch it all happen from custody if this proceeds, and there is nothing he can do to stop it. His lawyers can try to file motions, but the legal arguments are limited. The fraud judgment is final. The debts are real. The assets may have to be sold. That is the legal process, and courts are enforcing it. And Trump's family will be affected too if this moves forward. Don Jr., Eric, Ivanka, all of them are defendants in various civil cases related to Trump Organization activities. And they will all be questioned by the bankruptcy trustee if it happens. They will all have to explain what they knew about the business operations, what role they played, whether they personally benefited from payments, and anything they say can potentially be used. So the family will be dragged into this situation. The Trump name is being damaged. The brand is suffering. Any business that had licensing deals with Trump is reevaluating those deals. Hotels that had Trump's name are reconsidering the signage. Golf courses are looking at rebranding. The Trump brand that was built over decades is losing value rapidly. Having Trump's name on something may actually make it less marketable now. That is how dramatically the situation has changed. Now let us talk about the political implications. Trump is facing bankruptcy. Trump is in custody. Trump is facing serious legal charges. This is significantly damaging Trump as a political figure. His image as a successful businessman is being challenged. His claim to be a strong leader is being questioned. His entire political brand was built on business success, but that narrative is collapsing, and Republican senators are distancing themselves from Trump. Multiple Republican senators have expressed concerns. They are looking at the legal situation. They are looking at the financial situation, and they are worried about being associated with it. So there is movement away from Trump within his own party. Markets have reacted to the uncertainty. There has been volatility as investors try to understand what this means. Some analysts think that once the situation stabilizes, markets will recover. The theory is that Trump himself was creating uncertainty with unpredictable actions. And once there is clarity about what happens next, investors will feel more confident. But in the short term, there is anxiety. There is concern about what a Trump bankruptcy would mean, what it would mean for his businesses, what it would mean for employees, what it would mean for creditors. All of that uncertainty is affecting market sentiment. The bottom line is this: Donald Trump's entire business empire faces a court-ordered freeze. If he does not post the bond, he will not be able to access money, will not be able to operate businesses. The company will not be able to pay employees if the freeze takes effect. Chapter 11. Bankruptcy is looking likely and could lead to liquidation. Every Trump property could be auctioned. Mar-a-Lago, Trump Tower, everything potentially sold. 15,000 employees will lose income if this proceeds. Trump personally is facing financial ruin. He is in federal custody facing serious charges. His family will be investigated. The Trump brand is being damaged, and the political implications are massive. This is a complete financial crisis. Trump built his empire over decades, and now it is potentially being dismantled in weeks. Everything he accumulated could be seized and sold if the bankruptcy moves forward. And it is happening because of the fraud judgment, because Trump could not post the bond, because no bond company would take the risk. The legal system is working, the courts are enforcing their orders, and Trump is facing the consequences of his business practices. This is what accountability looks like in the American legal system. This is George from George Will Direct, and I will continue tracking this story as it develops. If this analysis helped you understand what is really happening, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this video. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one where we continue covering this historic financial collapse.